You are listening to Victoria's podcasts. Hello, fellow dreamers, and welcome to the third episode of Startup Ignition. Your journey begins here. I'm Victoria, your host and guide on this exciting journey into the world of startup. I will answer all the questions you ask yourself when you want to launch your first startup. Before we dive into today's topic, let me introduce you our first guest, Jeremy Navon, the rockstar of the pitch deck. Thanks, Jeremy, for being here. Please tell us more about you.
Thank you, Victoria. I'm really glad to be here with you today. I don't know if I'm the rock star of the pitch, but yes, I've built Pitch, my startup, which is one of the leading pitch agency here in France. I'm really glad. Wow. So glad to be your first guest, right, on the podcast.
Yeah, you're my first guest. I'm really happy to have you. So we met 3 years ago when I was working for Olam Ventures. And please let us know more about your company, Pitch My Startup. What do you do in your day-to-day?
Well, it's a company I founded 10 years ago. We accompanied more than 4,000 startups in France and all over Europe and in Israel as well. We, on a day-to-day basis, we work with accelerators, incubators such as Olam, and we help their startup to build their pitch, to build a pitch deck in order to convince investors and clients and media. It's a job that I love. It's so fun to work with entrepreneurs, and we managed to bring so much value on this topic that is crucial and that we're going to talk about today, which is the pitch and the pitch deck in particular that the investor really wants in order to, have a first meeting with the startups.
But for you, what is the goal of a pitch deck?
Well, what is the goal of a pitch deck? The goal of the pitch deck is to get in touch with the investor. But beforehand, let's take a step backward if it's okay with you.
Yes.
Very often, when you want to raise money and you're a startup, you're a company, you're an entrepreneur, you focus on the pitch deck first, and it can take a lot of time, and it's a very difficult document to build, to do, even though there is a lot of resources online. What I tell all the entrepreneurs that are coming to me and telling me, well, Jeremy, I want to work on my pitch deck with you, I'm like, okay, first I want to listen to you and hear your 10 minutes investor pitch. And when the pitch is not good, we work on a pitch first. And afterwards, we translate it into a PowerPoint, right? Which helps to gain a lot of time on design and formatting and all that. After all, the investor pitch deck is your investor pitch in a PowerPoint. So, yeah. Okay,
so for you think really the best point to have is to work on your pitch and how you're going to sell your startups and crafting the pitch deck and the slide, because I was thinking if you work on the slide first, it will help you to put your idea in a better way, to work better on your problem, topic, solution. So how should we work first on the pitch if we didn't study enough? On the slides?
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, so what happens most of the time is most startups don't work enough on their pitch and pitch deck before they really need to raise money. And when they need to go and meet an investor, they know they're going to need a pitch deck, and they start working on their pitch deck and on their pitch and on all the elements of their pitch, which is value proposition and how their business model is scalable and all that, which all the topics we're going to talk today. So it's good, like having to work on pitch deck makes you work on all those matters, and it's amazing. But the problem is it takes a lot of time to build a beautiful and intelligible PowerPoint. Okay, what we see very often is people spending hours and days and sometimes months building the perfect PowerPoint, and this document not reflecting in the best way what the startup is, what the value proposition is, because people focus on writing this document, and sometimes, it's if you just don't understand anything. It's full of words and sentences. It's very packed with information, but we have so much difficulty to understand what it is. Whereas when you start with your pitch, meaning the pitch you're gonna give, the speech you're gonna give to investors, it's way easier to feel if it's intelligible, if it's something you can say, if it's well argumented or not. That's why I tend to tell people, start with the pitch. If you can say it with your voice, and it means that it's intelligible. The ideas are well connected between one another. Whereas you can write stuff that doesn't make any sense on paper sometime, and try to fine tune it and rewrite it for sometimes a lot more, or way too much time.
And would that help to build a teaser before a pitch deck to have like a clear idea, and also maybe a teaser that you can sell to investors? I don't receive a lot of teaser, to be honest. I more receive like a pitch deck, but we will talk about that in a moment, like how to build the perfect pitch deck for investor. But what do you think about the teaser to build your pitch better?
I would say it depends on people. I mean, when I say people, it depends on investors. Some investors love to have the 20-slide pitch deck from the beginning, and that's fine. You want to give an investor what he's asking for, the same way. And we know. I know we're going to talk about it. You need to answer the investor need and questions. That's very important. It's crucial. So if they ask for the full investor pitch deck, give it to them, like give it to an investor. But sometimes, yes, like building a good, 5 slides, like from 3 to 5 slides teaser, where you really feel that the project is valuable and it's bringing something new to the table in the market, that the ambition is there, can be a strategy. It can be a way to make yourself different from all the other ones that are going to send this 20 slides pitch deck. But it's a risk as well. It depends on who's going to receive the document, and let's say it requires even more work to build an amazingly great 5 slides pitch deck, which it's going to dazzle so much the investor that he's going to reach out to you and not tell himself or herself, well, this guy is lazy, only send me 5 slides instead of 20, So it's a bargain, I would say.
Yeah, makes sense. So what is a pitch deck? Like, what do you find in pitch deck? I can tell you like what I see in pitch deck, but you as a mentor to help building pitch deck, like what do you recommend to have? What are the slides that we should have?
Okay, so several things. I started with the pitch deck. The investor pitch deck is a 10-minute investor pitch in a PowerPoint, right? And it's very much true. Meaning you have to follow the same structure. It's the pitch structure. Okay, so if you build your amazing investor pitch deck following the right structure, starting with the pain and then the solution and then how it works, blah blah blah, and I'm going to go through right now all those elements, then you have your pitch deck. Don't imagine, don't create a new structure out of nowhere in order to build your pitch deck. If you have the 15 to 16 elements in your pitch and you put them as titles in your pitch deck, you'll have for a pitch deck that's going to be between 15 to 20 slides, that's going to be intelligible by everybody, understandable by everybody, and you will meet the expectations of the investors. What I tell at every masterclass I give is, don't innovate on the pitch and the pitch deck structure. Okay, obviously you're a startup, you're an entrepreneur, you asked to be innovative, but not on this. Like, this is an exercise where there are rules to be followed. If you follow those rules, it's going to guide you, it's going to help you, and you'll get the meeting with the investor. At the end of the day, that's what you're looking for. What I would love to say, though, it's like, even if the pitch deck is your pitch in a PowerPoint, don't write everything down. Okay, if you do, if it's packed with information, if it's not clear, if there's too many paragraphs, if there are several ideas per slide, it's going to be impossible to read. You have to bear in mind that the way it works is very simple. You are going to send an email to an investor, the investor being the analyst of a fund or a business angel, right? You're going to send the email, writing a few sentences, small paragraph in the email that's going to be read, and then straight away the investor is going to click on the pitch deck and see what you have. This investor is going to spend 30 seconds 30-second maximum, right?
Maximum, even less. Like at the beginning, when I receive a pitch deck, I will spend like 10 seconds. And if the email is too long, I won't even read it. I will be like, if his email is too long, like the pitch deck won't be easy to understand. So I really need like a pitch deck that is super easy to understand, that I can really like check in a couple of seconds. I will understand the main idea. And after, if I like it, I will spend more time to understand the pitch deck, and I will want to meet the founder if it's like easy, simple, and that the deck is looking good, that I want to buy this deck. I want to live this deck, you know?
Yeah, it's crucial. Like you need to make a very good first impression in the first 10 seconds, okay? It needs to be beautiful. It needs to be well formatted. It needs to be straight to the point. It needs to be well structured. And you were talking. The first thing you said is it needs to be beautiful. So I know the sentence "fake it until you make it" is not popular anymore, but still, making a beautiful pitch deck, meaning well designed, with a brand that is beautiful, with a graphic charter that is dazzling, is going to help you sell. You know, it's a selling exercise. You need to sell the vision that is yours. So let's say your app or your marketplace or a SaaS platform doesn't look that good today. Doesn't matter. The pitch deck needs to look better than your actual app, okay? Because what you show at this very moment is what your company is going to look like 1 year from now.
I completely agree. And I really want to point something that you just said, like you need to share your vision. Mm-hmm. Like this is what we want to see. And even more when it's your first startup, when it's super early stage, the thing that we want to see is like, what is your ambition with the startup? This is what we want to see. Like, it's okay if your project is not working well today, or if your project is not like the best design. Like, we want to see like what is your goal and who you are to build that.
Yeah, it's fair and square. Okay, what's your market? Is it deep enough? Is it big enough? Is the growth like there in this market in the years to come? Do you have the right value proposition that is very much different from your competitors? Do you have the right team? And here you need beautiful pictures of the co-founders that are alike, not taking one from Facebook, the other from LinkedIn, the last one from your vacation with your family or something. Like we need to feel that you're able to be all in the same room and take this pretty much the same picture, okay? And then we need the logos either of the university you went through, if you're still a student, or the big companies or startups you work for. Okay, we need to have a glimpse of who you are in order to want to meet you. That seems so simple, and though so often the pictures are ugly and we don't have any logos and we need to read a lot, or there's nothing written, so we don't know who you are. Last but not least, obviously, you should ask. You should have a call to action. Like, we need to know how much money you're looking for, and what you're gonna do with the money. Like this ask slide towards the end is very much crucial.
I completely agree. So for you, what are the 20 slides that you should have? Like, the first one obviously is like the title for sure.
Yeah, there needs to be a good cover with the name of your company. Either I would say a tagline of what it is would be good. You can even have what I like sometimes is I tell my startups to add some social proof, meaning like logos of clients that are already that you're already working with. If you're a B2B company, for instance, that could be interesting from slide one. Then obviously you're not going to dive into the solution. You're going to tell us what is the pain you're answering to. That sounds obvious, but still. And while going through the pain, you really need to put figures. Like, what are the main figures that show that your pain is an actual pain, that the cost are actual cost in millions of dollars or euros or pounds. That it's a pain that is involving a lot of people, that is polluting a lot. I don't know, like, we need to feel the pain, and this pain needs to be illustrated by figures. Okay. One thing is like I don't know what you think about it, but for me, the pain and the needs could be illustrated by several slides.
It could be. Sometimes I see it as several slides, sometimes only one slide. It really depends, like if it's one problem for one type of enterprise, or if the problem can be scalable to other type of enterprises. So at the end of the day, it really depends. But as I was saying in the last episode, in the second episode, so if you don't solve a real painful and costly problem, is there a purpose to have your product online? So that's also why, like, you need to show investors that you are solving that, and that's why you need to tell it. So sometimes you will send it to investors that already know the pain in your problem, and sometimes not. So for them, you need to put it in a clearly way.
Yeah, it needs to be very clear. And what we need to understand is there is potential. Like it's a market that is growing, and by double digits. Not only in your own country, but in the world, because if you're going to investors, they are going to want international scalability. One thing that you mentioned here is crucial for me. You're going to send it to investors, and you need to know to whom you're going to send it to. Okay, meaning you shouldn't send your slide deck to every investors. The investors are they are people, they are professional, and they have what we call an investment thesis, meaning not every investment fund, I know you're going to talk about it pretty soon, invest in every type of startups. I don't know what you do at Plug and Play, but you might not invest in medtech. Or in deep tech, or maybe you invest in those, but not in B2C apps. What do you do?
Exactly. So I invest in B2B startups. So at Plug and Play, we invest in every industry. My focus is deep tech. So in smart cities. Right. But we are lucky enough at Plug and Play that we can. If we have an opportunity in another industry, we can also pitch it to the other team and work with another team to collaborate on another deal. But we don't do B2C. So if you send me a B2C opportunity, I won't be able to judge it because I never work on a B2C startup. So I completely agree with you. Startup, when they send their deck, they need to target the right investors, the right industry, and the right stage. So don't send to a late stage VC, early stage deck. It doesn't make any sense.
They're not gonna like it.
No, they're not gonna like it. It looks unprofessional. It looks like you didn't do your homework.
Right. And you need to do your due diligence on the investors as well.
Exactly, and you need to be picky on the investors that you choose. You're gonna collaborate with them for many years. So you need to be picky. You need to make sure that you can work with them, that you can trust them by fighting for your startup to their company and for also potential customers. So this first investor that you're gonna secure is gonna help you during your whole journey.
Right, all your journey. I agree. And they want to be picked.
Completely.
So the pain is crucial, the market is crucial, obviously, and we'll deep dive in the market a little later on, and then you go for your solution. And what matters the most for me when you introduce your solution is really having a good tagline that makes us understand what your value proposition is. How are you different from the competitors? What are you bringing that is new to the market? In what are you innovative and scalable? And from there, we should have a glimpse of your vision already. And then, if you're early stage, maybe that's the moment to show who you are, meaning having your team slide. What do you think? There are several schools about that.
So it really depends. Sometimes I like to see a team slide at the beginning, even before the problem, because the team has something really exceptional. So product market, founder market fit, or really the founder is a ex-unicorn founders, or something really exceptional. If not, I would prefer to have it at the end.
Okay.
And we will talk about it after, but when you pitch, a one-to-one pitch, I prefer to have the introduction of the person that I talk to. So whenever you meet someone, you introduce yourself. So for me, it's the same. When you meet an investor, you should introduce yourself. And it doesn't mean that your slide should be at the beginning. But so sometimes I think it really
Say hi,
depends.
quoi.
Yeah, exactly. Say hi and just like be friendly, you know. But to come back on your question, like to have the deck, like the team slide at the beginning or at the end, it's really depending on the team.
Yes, I agree 100%. If you have a team that is very strong, if you have repeat entrepreneurs, if you've been working in your industry for 20 years, if your co-founder already have a patent in the area, like your team should come very early within
Yes.
the process.
I
because
agree.
It's reassurance, like.
Exactly, because like as I was saying in the past episode also, so when you are launching an early stage startup, when it's the beginning of your journey, investor will bet on the team and not on the product, because the product can change, the market can change, but the team should stay and be stable. So that's why you can like really put your team at the beginning when there is a huge value add.
If we need to sum up what are the first slides, we start with the cover, slide 1, and then we go for problem need, and then the solution is the slide itself, and then slide 4 is how does it work. And we really need to understand, if you have an app or a SaaS platform, what is the user experience that we're going to leave. Like, we need to have, even if your app or your platform doesn't exist, we need to have beautiful mockups to really understand what is the user experience going to be. What is the user we're going to live, and how great it's going to be as well. It's important to have beautiful visuals as well. We haven't talked about it, but obviously a beautiful design goes with a beautiful logo and a beautiful graphic charter, and you need to have visuals that help us understand what we're going to leave as individuals, and what is your platform or application or else is going to look like.
Do you recommend to put a short video and a demo of the product? Me as an investor, I really like to see a demo, but I don't know if the best case is to put it in the pitch deck or maybe separately.
I like them the best separately. That way you're sure it works all the time. Then it's extra work as well. And what I tend to realize is people, when they build startup, they're perfectionists. They want to do everything by the book. They want to do everything the best. And sometimes it is just taking them too much time. Time is at the essence. You need to produce your pitch and your pitch deck fast enough, to go and ask for money early enough, before you don't have money anymore, and you need to be faster than your competitors. So at some point, right, obviously making a video of or a demo of your product is amazing, and if you can do it really fast, really in a beautiful way, that's great. I would enclose it. I would put the pitch deck and demo separately. But if it's a lot of work for you, you don't know where to start, and you're too perfectionist, do your pitch deck really well first. That would be my advice. And having 3-4 nice mock-ups that look really good is sometimes better than a video that doesn't go out, or a video that is not good enough. So it's always a question of what's important and what's not.
Yeah.
So yes, then we need to understand how it works. Obviously, that's slide 4, and then yes, you need to start to get into details about the financials. Okay.
Completely.
Obviously, like what's your business model? How are you gonna earn money? I don't know. Do you have any advice on how to build a beautiful business model slide?
So first of all, I agree, it's super important. So at the end of the day, an investor wants a return on their money. Mm-hmm. So the business model will show how the startup can scale and how big it can be. Mm-hmm. So to show like a stable and business models that can be scalable, it's paramount. So but after so when it's super early in the startup, sometimes the business model is not super clear. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I see startups that skip this slide when it's too early. And when you do that, I feel it's super important to have a super good market size slide to show like the perspective of the business. But so I didn't see like the perfect business model slide, to be honest. It really depends on how it works. But you need to show like how big it can be. You need to show like, you don't need to show financial projection when it's too early, because it doesn't make sense. But you need to show like how big it can be.
Yeah, and that you choose a market that is big enough, that is scalable enough, that is sexy enough. Like yes, definitely. And then you need to show that you know your competitors, meaning you know your market, you know the competitors, you have an idea where you're going. You know.
Yes. So if you don't know your competitor, you don't know how you can differentiate from the market. This is the first big thing. And if you can't differentiate for the market, how you're gonna take some market share and how you're gonna be bigger than your competitors? And they're in the market before you. So you need to kind of steal their customers.
Yes.
So how you can do it if you can't differentiate? So this is the first thing. And also like investors, they will know if you don't know your market, if you didn't study enough. Because if they are an expert in the domain you are going for, they will know the markets and you should know more than them.
Or at least as much as them. While you're doing your competition slide, we need to understand how you're different from your competitors. We need to understand your unfair advantage. I would say like do a table here. Like we need to have at least from 5 to 6 criterias that are very different, and that shows how you are better at some very important key elements, how you're different at some other elements, and only having 2 criteria is not enough. And if you put yourself on a graphic at the top right corner, obviously because you choose only 2 criteria, it doesn't mean anything. Like if Amazon is at the very bottom, does it mean Amazon is bad or it's not a good company or good investment? Not at all. So go deep dive into the competition. I feel that especially for an early stage startup, showing that you know your competitors, you know their strength, and you know, and you show us how you're going to be different, is definitely something that is very valuable here.
Yeah, completely. And also, like, if your differentiator are too low, it can be also reclippable really fast. And your competitor, if they are here since a while, they have more money than you, so they can replicate what you're doing really fast. So your differentiation point should be hard to replicate and needs to add a real value.
I agree. Even if you are an early stage company or an early stage startup, doesn't mean you don't have traction, right? You have beta testers, you have first customers or users, you might have a beginning of a media coverage or something. You need to show that you've done something, like you're on your way to meet your market. You put yourself out there. Do you see difficulty to show traction within the company that you analyze on an everyday basis?
So sometimes early stage startups, they say like, no, we don't have customer, we are too early, we were building. And I think this is not the great strategy to have. If you are building, you need to have like customer, even if they are not signed, even if they're not paying, that can review what you're doing, and you're just like building without like knowing if a customer will like it or not. So you can't like stand days, months, the head down and doesn't know what the market will think about it. So that's why it's super important to have like customer from the very, very beginning, even if they're not paying again, but they can spend time with you to test the product, to review it, to give you recommendation. And so this is called like design partners. Most of the case, they are not paid, and after your product can really give a first value, you can make them pay like a little fee, and you can really custom this product on your first design partners. And if you don't have design partners, official design partner, you can always put like the logo of the company that you are in talk that help you building, but you can't build without the opinion of a potential customer. This is not possible.
No, and we need to understand what your go-to-market strategy is going to be. Okay, how are you going to address this market? Is it building a community, for instance, and that's great, and we see amazing companies being built like this. Are you going to do? Obviously, it's a mix. So we need to feel that even from an early stage point of view, like you are ready to sell. You know that you're building a business, and a business requires clients and users, and you have this in mind, and you've built the right strategy to actually address those clients as soon as you can, as early as you can, and to sell even for a small price, a small fee, as soon as possible, because once again that will determine the value of your company and an exit plan for the investors at some point, or valuation at least.
Yeah, on the last episode also I mentioned that you should not quit your job and be full-time on your startup before you don't have like your first customer. Without your first customer, your startup is not a real startup.
It's only a hobby or
exactly,
right?
It's just a project, something that you work on yourself. And also like something super important, like everybody has ID. A lot of people, we are like almost 8 billion on this planet, so I'm sure a lot of people had the same idea, but the most important is how do you operate? How do you sell? How do you get customers? What is your network here?
Yeah, and that's definitely what we need to see in the roadmap, which is the next slide. Okay, what you've done so far. Okay, what have you done so far that is notable? What are you gonna do in the next year? Because what we need to see is that you are able to execute really fast. You're going to move really fast. You're going to do a lot of things in a short while, in a short moment of time. And the last thing, what we really need to see in your roadmap, and that sometimes we don't see, and it's frustrating, is what's your vision? If you build a roadmap only on the year that passed and on the year to come, this is not a roadmap. Like on the roadmap, we need to see what's your vision for the next 3 to 5 years. So a roadmap that doesn't end today, 2024, in 2027 minimum, is not a roadmap. We need to know that, okay, today you're raising a seed round or a pre-seed round, but that 2 years from now, you'll be raising a Series A. And that you have this kind of ambition, that you are looking forward to scale internationally, that you're looking forward to hire a great team and to have patents on your subject, you know, and this is what we're gonna see in the roadmap, and sometime because it looks too ambitious for you, it looks too far reaching for you. It's only what we've done so far and what we're going to do in the next months, which is not enough for us to take a decision and to invest in you.
Yes, and don't be afraid to show your ambition in your roadmap, because some investor, if you want to put like a low ambition because you want to be conservative, and I completely understand that, but some investor will think that you miss ambition. Mm-hmm. So don't be afraid that like in 5 years, my target is to be a unicorn. Like, this is what we want to see, and we want to see like a startup that have ambition, that wants to grow, and that is capable to grow.
Yeah, unicorn is one thing, but at least a leader in your markets. That's obviously, if you're going to VCs are looking for leaders. They're looking for company they invest in at an early stage, and that they're gonna be able to exit 5 to 7 years from now with 10 times what they put. That's the ideally that what they're looking for, or 100 times if possible, if it's a unicorn. Then obviously you're going to move to the team slide. Once again, you understood about the team slide that sometimes it can arrive way earlier when the team is very valuable and something you really need to put forward, and that explains why you're going to be the leader pretty soon within the process. If you're only a team of students, maybe you have done less thing in your life, which is normal because you're younger, then you can keep the team slide for, not the last slide, but the slide before. And here again, we need to have pictures of you that are recent, that are beautiful, taken if possible at the right place, at the same place altogether. We need to have the logos of your universities, and first jobs or internship if they are notable. And we need to feel and to see how complementary you guys are. You know, if it's 3 people from the same business school, that would be some kind of a red flag.
Yes, we look for complementary, and we want a team that can help each other and that will focus on their own topic, because if everybody do the same, you're gonna have more conflict first, and you're gonna move forward slower. So everybody needs to have their task and it needs to be like divided well. But also like on this team slide, you can mention advisor, but don't mention every people that help you. Like just mention that people that can really bring value. If you have an expert as an advisor in the an expert of the industry, you can put it because it can bring you customers. If you have an advisor that meet with the team like every week, obviously you can mention it. But if it's just like
somebody you talk to.
Exactly. Somebody you talk to and they accept to put their face in your pitch deck, it doesn't make sense. We need to see like people that really bring value on the table.
Yeah, another advice here is don't put more than 3 to 4 maximum advisors. Okay, 3 is the good figure here in terms of advisors. And we need to feel that the team is complementary again and that you were able, you managed to choose a CEO. There cannot be 3 CEOs. I know now we see co-CEOs, but like at an early stage, I don't think it's a good sign. We want you as a team to be able to choose who's going to be the CEO, who's going to be the CMO in charge of marketing, who's going to be in charge of finance and tech. It's important. It shows that you were able to divide the different tasks. It shows that you were you're showing a team that is the preview of the future company that it's going to be.
Yeah.
Last but not least, that's the last slide. It's like, why are you here? What are you gonna ask the investor? And there you need to say it bluntly. Obviously, you're talking to investor. You're looking for money. Say how much to do what. Okay, that's very important. Say how much money to do what. You don't need to say at which valuation, which I strongly advise that you don't do, because that's, let's say Victoria is not here. That's one of the only elements you have to negotiate, right? But yes, how much money you would like, and state a number, not between 500K and 1 million. State an actual number and how you're gonna spend this money.
Also, like how you're gonna spend the money is super important, but what this money is gonna bring you? How many customers? How much revenue? Like what is the value that this money will bring you? You should make some plans. Like I need 2 million to make 1 million revenue. Like this is what you should tell, and this is super important to be clear.
Yeah, obviously the investors are not going to give you money because you have nice blue eyes. Even if you have nice blue eyes, they will give you money to have the return on investment. And they need to feel that every euros, dollars, or pound they're going to put in your company is going to be worth 10 in 5 years' time.
Completely agree. And so what about the design of the slide? Like these days around, like now with tools like Canva, it's so much easier to have like a nice design. So almost all the deck that I see have like looks good, and now that the deck that looks bad, like I really point them.
Yes.
So do you have any tips?
First tip is it needs to look good. We started with that at the very beginning. If it looks bad, well, we won't have you for a meeting. Like there are so many tools at your disposal that don't cost a lot or nearly nothing, that if you're not able to use one of those tools to make a beautiful pitch deck, we won't spend 30 seconds at first. We will spend 5. And I haven't told about that in this podcast already, but I used to have one of the biggest startup event here in France called Pitch My Startup at the time. And we were selecting more than 150 startup per event, and we were only keeping 7, right? So we were receiving quite a lot of pitch deck, obviously, and we were making our choice really, really fast, 5 seconds, not 30. We were opening the deck, and if the deck was not beautiful, we were shutting it down. And we were going really fast from 150 to 30. Okay.
Oh.
Do they look good? Do I understand what they do from the first slide? Is can I read the logo and the tagline? Yes or no? And then there was only 5 times less the pitch deck afterwards. Okay, and then on the pitch deck that looked good, well, obviously, is it well structured? Can I understand? Is the team strong, etc. In terms of design, which was your question, if you have a designer in your team or somebody who design really well, or if you can in your surrounding, if you have designers, yes, it's definitely a plus, because they're gonna look even better than a beautiful slide on Canva, and it will put you on top of the others, at least for the first meeting. So it's worth putting time and effort in building a beautiful pitch deck, and sometimes when you talk about design, it's like it's not only the pictures, it's not only the framework. It's like if you put too much information, it's going to be impossible to read. Okay, if you put like a title, a subtitle, and then two or three paragraphs plus two pictures or three pictures or schematics in the same slide, there's no way we're going to be able to read this. So you need to make your slide airy, build the slide you would love to read. Make it simple and nice for us to read. So it needs to be airy. It needs to be clear, meaning like you have a title, a subtitle, and a paragraph. There's three different level of bold. Don't use more than two colors. Don't use more than two fonts. Right? Use a 12 pixel font minimum, please, because 8 is difficult to read on a normal laptop. Don't write text on visual because it's really difficult to do, and most of the time it's ugly. Use always the same type of pictos. Like those are very simple, straight to the point advice, but that might make really big difference for us when we receive the slides. And sometimes it's unfair, but that's the game, that's the rule. You'll be chosen or not on those very advice I'm giving.
Yeah, there is something that I really don't like is when there is too much text. Mm-hmm. When you have so many paragraphs and you need to read a lot to understand what the startup is doing, I need to spend too much time. I don't have time in my journey for that. And I need to understand what the startup is doing with the value proposition, with one slide, two slides. And it needs to be straightforward. When it's too packed, too much information is not clear. It needs to be simple so we can review it fast. But also on the investor point of view, so we judge you on if you're a good seller or not on the pitch deck, but also on the pitch, because this is how you're going to pitch to customers. Mm-hmm. So if we think that you are a bad seller, how you're going to operate and how you're going to sell your product?
Yes, I agree 100%. And that's why, my advice was start with the pitch, because the pitch is a short, impactful, inspiring speech, okay, that it aims at convincing an audience, okay? So if you manage to do a very short, impactful pitch, that we understand very well, and you put it in a pitch deck, then there won't be so much information. The pitch deck doesn't need to be exhaustive. You don't need to say everything about your company, because we are not ready for that. And to be honest, at the beginning, not interested. We just it needs to be sexy. It needs to be something that you sell. It needs to be something that is easy and nice to read, like a good pitch. Okay, so don't put everything. Don't try to be exhaustive. Don't say everything about your tech, about your story and stuff. Tell us what we need. Tell us what we need for us to want to have a meeting with you. And now I will finish on this comparison. A good pitch deck is like a good movie trailer. Okay, we see tens of pitch deck per day, and when you want to go to a movie, you see roughly 10 movie trailers. On a 1.5 minute movie trailer, you're going to decide whether you're going to go and watch the film or not. A 2 hours movie, which could be the 30 minutes meeting with you, Victoria. It's exactly the same mechanisms that is at stake here. I'm going to look at your pitch deck in less than 1.5 minutes. If it's beautiful, I'm going to go and see the movie with you. I'm going to have this meeting. If not, sorry for you, but we know we won't have this meeting at all.
And also at the end of the day, to attract an investor by cold outreach by email, it's really hard, because usually we got introduced by other VC, or if we have a real interest in a startup, we will reach out. So to get this interest from a VC, when you reach out, it's really, really hard. So you need to demonstrate even more into your pitch deck, so even more beauty, to be even more clear, to really attract them. I meet startups that reach me out on LinkedIn, send their pitch deck, sometimes also like by email, to be honest, less by email because I feel more...
oppressed?
Yeah, exactly. Like they come more in my intimacy. Like my emails are for the ones that already have my contact, and on LinkedIn I'm really active and I receive a lot of pitch deck there. And when the text is clear, like when you reach out, don't need to like write super long text because same is I will feel that you won't be straight to the point. So like small text that goes straight to the point. Here is my pitch deck. Let me know if you are available to meet. And this kind of text, most of the time I reply and I meet the startup if the deck looks good and if I have something that attracts me and fit with my thesis, obviously.
Yeah, like send something you would love to receive.
Exactly.
Yes, that's a good conclusion as such. Huh? Send something that you would love to receive.
So now that we explained how to build the pitch deck, that you need to work first on the pitch and after the pitch deck. So when you have this investor meeting, what would be your recommendation, like how to pitch it?
Yeah, so once again, I would say it depends. It depends on the investor you're gonna meet. Some investors are gonna ask you to present the pitch deck, okay, from slide 1 to slide 20. And that's okay. Give them what they want. If they want you to present the pitch deck, present it. Sometimes they tell you you're going to pitch it, but at the end of the day, it's not a pitch. Like it's going to be a presentation. Sometimes they will cut you in the middle to ask you questions. That's fine. If the investor is used to that and if that's the investor wants, that's okay. In other cases, they will ask you for a 5-minute pitch at the beginning, which is pretty formal, but that's okay. Give you a 5-minute pitch, and then this investor will ask you to go down the pitch deck that they received prior to the interview together, more as a Q&A session on the pitch deck. And there's a third way, which is I know is yours, and I like a lot better. Which is, okay, the investor look at your pitch deck, he knows who you are, he's really glad to welcome you, he knows about your company, and then it's a friendly conversation when you actually trying to meet one another, to know what moved the other, and if we're going to move as an entrepreneur and investor in the same direction. So I know that's the format you love the best.
Yeah, this is the format I like the most because at the end of the day, like, how you end up to launch your startup is a story. Like why you did it, with who, how did you meet them, what is the problem you solve, like is it because you face it in your own life, in your own work. So this is a story, and so this is easy to tell the story and to explain that to an investor, and it's so much more attractive than like presenting a pitch deck like you're in school and you do your little presentation. But at the end of the day, like as Jeremy said, the most important is to answer what the VC and the investor wants. So ask them questions before you start. What is the format you prefer? How familiar are you with the problem? So you will know like if you need to pitch slide by slide and which slide you need to spend more time on or not. So really understand who you talk to and what they want to see, and keep it as a conversation at the beginning, ask them questions, and after provide them what they want.
Agree, like a normal conversation with a human beings. Huh? At the end of the day, now you've been listening to Victoria's podcast. She's a human being. Like I'm I can touch her right now, and she's an investor as a job. So treat investors like normal people, professional like you, and it will be wonderful. It would be great. Thank you, Victoria, for inviting me today. It was a great pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you so much, Jeremy, for being here. And if you need any advice, any help on your pitch deck, feel free to reach out to Jeremy and pitch my startup.
Thank you.
The next step is to be more familiar with the ecosystem. I will tell you how in the next episode, navigating the startup ecosystem. As we wrap up this episode, remember that the pitch deck shows your value and is a gateway to investor and to get funding. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, and I'm sure you did, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. To support this podcast, you can also follow us on LinkedIn, talk about us to your fellow dreamers, and even more, help us to help you better, ask us your questions. Have a great day and see you in the next episode.